I always wonder. So, you mentioned before, like if I listen back, and even with this, although I watch it back for the edit, obviously, every once in a while I'll listen to the audio version of this because
Hmm.
we send it everywhere, right? We put it on Spotify. Spotify has video, but through Spotify podcasts, it also does audio versions for all kinds of other services like Pocket Cast and
Hmm.
stuff. So, it'll show up in my podcast feed, and I'm like, I'll give it a listen. Sometimes it works pretty well. Like when we're just having a conversation, it's fine. It sounds like anything else. I always worry about these sections.
Yeah.
When we're talking about something that we're all looking at. You
Yeah,
just
well,
like,
that's where it's like they know that there's a video portion of it, and it's like if they really want to get in there and like look at it, because that's the whole premise of the podcast, right? It's like you're going to make something visual here.
yeah,
So it's like hopefully there's enough talk about it that it's like I gotta see what this looks like, you know?
yeah, exactly. That's always the hope, right? And
Yeah.
it usually comes off pretty good. Even just like an audio format. But but yeah, I always worry.
And do you host that on Substack as well?
Yeah, so we don't host it on Substack because we started backwards. So it is I put the links to everything in the Substack.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not actually natively hosted. Like my newsletter is natively hosted on Substack and it goes
Mm-hmm.
out from there. Um, so like the podcast and all that comes from Substack, but this one's the opposite. So this one I'm posting to Spotify and YouTube directly and then putting it on Substack. So some technicality. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Roberto, I'm going to ask a favor when you're done with that one, but the white space on the first caption is irking me. If we
So
if we can the cap that first caption,
yes,
we
to be.
yeah, the word dreams onto another line,
Yeah.
make it more square. Yeah, just because that white space is like hurting my feeling.
Yeah.
That's you. So you know I letter my own comics most of the
Mhm.
time, and I will fully rewrite dialogue if it doesn't look nice in a bubble. It's
Yeah, it's that aesthetic part of it. I think you have a different level of appreciation to it by lettering your own stuff.
yeah, right. Like I feel like, and that's what always makes me hesitate handing it off. Arguably, if you hand it off to a letter, it's not like they finish it and send it to the printer on your behalf. Like you have an opportunity
Yeah.
to say, "Hey, can we work on this?" Kind of like now. But I think that's good, Roberto. That's better at least. Or can we
Yeah.
justify that center maybe? Or no? Justify is the wrong word. Align. Oh, it's not. It says justify side. But oh, that's good. That's good. Um, yeah, like I know a letter is going to come back to you for a pass, but it's still like it's one of the few things that I feel controlling about in the
Hmm.
overall thing. Like I'm very loose with my direction with art, very loose with like what comes back. Like if it's not exactly what I asked for, like I said, it's always an improvement. So I'm pretty chill about that. But the lettering is like one that I just can't let go. It's like I have a vision for how it should look. So pretty picky about it in that sense. What about you? Do you feel that at all? With real slobber knocker, do you have a letter or?
Yeah, I work with Matt Krotzer, who's lettered almost all my stuff so far. I he works really well. So it's one of those things where I'm just like, do this thing, and like rarely have I had changes for it. There was like one small change I had with the last one where I was just like I just like break. I wanted the once I saw the dialogue broken out, I was like, oh no, I want like the caption to be a little smaller. So meaning that like instead of having two sentences here, it's like do one sentence, then one sentence of separate captions to kind of slow it down a little bit.
Yeah,
And that was something I didn't realize until I saw it on the page. And no, it should be beat, beat, beat. But I try to do like a lettering pass before I hand it off because I don't I feel guilty asking for many revisions, right? It's like I don't want to. It's like, hey, it's like, oh, then of the 20 pages, I want you to change half of them. Like, even if it's small stuff here or there, it's just one of those things. Like, all right, like that should be as close to done as possible when it gets handed to the letterer.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's it's very respectful of someone's time.
I'm trying. It's hard. It's like I think as a writer, you kind of take it for granted. I'm like, oh yeah, I can just change all this stuff here. Like, no, like you can't do that. When it gets past a certain stage with anything. Like when I worked with Darren Vogt, who drew the story in the pizza book that we did. He's a graphic designer by trade. So when he outlined everything for me, he said, all right, this is what we're going to do. This is what I'm going to do. This is when you provide feedback. This is when you can't provide feedback anymore. Like it was like very, very like a good timeline for stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so buttoned up and professional.
It's always impressive. I mean, yeah, it's especially again, not to slag artists in any way,
Mhm.
but just I find creative people in general aren't always very organized.
Yeah.
So when you get someone who's super super organized, that's always like a oh my goodness, okay. Like it's
Yeah.
another level. Like um, with artists like they kind of like they all have their own style, so their style
Yeah.
speaks more than anything. But when you have two people that are very similar in style, similar in rates, like, and you need some differentiation between them, it's like
Mhm.
professionalism is the right. It's like who can I
Yeah.
work with that I know communication is going to be easy, and everything's going to go smooth. Like that's the edge, not you know harassing people on Instagram or whatever, which seems to be
Yeah.
what some choose to do.
Well, like that edge, I think, is like it's just that kindness part of it too. Like people want to work with people they like and get along with stuff. You don't want to be a jerk, even if you're paying people. You don't want to be a jerk about stuff.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Right? Like you want to at the end of the day, nobody's doing well, not nobody, but majority of people are not
Mhm.
doing this as their primary job. This is,
Yeah,
you know, it's if so the ones that are lucky to call it a second job can call it that, and so most of us are calling it a hobby. But at the end of the day, we're taking time out of our already busy lives to do this, and nobody wants to deal with jerks in doing so.
yeah.
Like
Wait, speaking of that, have you seen like do the people at your day job know that you make comics?
it's it's what I would call an open secret. So
Mhm.
I don't advertise it. The ones that have seen it, and the thing too is like, so I put it on LinkedIn. I put it everywhere.
I do too. LinkedIn has been a surprisingly good like source of Kickstarter backers. I was
Yeah,
very
it's
surprised by that.
very strange, but yeah. So the folks from work have found me there, and they're like, what is like you do comics? Yeah, I do comics. Like if you knew me at all, you would absolutely know that,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, so like so yeah, it's I've had backers like from my workplace pick up some comics. It was very nice. Uh, and yeah, so but it's like very small select group that is actually aware that I'm doing
Hmm.
this, right? Because yeah, I don't bring it up too much. Maybe I'll say like uh when you're going to a convention on the weekend or something, and it's like, oh,
Hmm.
you're taking time off. Why are you taking time off? And it's like, well, I'm tabling
Yeah.
street from
What's
you, and
that?
then you don't see them there anyway. Uh, they feign interest.
Yeah.
They don't come to the convention. That's free. Uh, but yeah, but outside of that, I don't really advertise it at work. But what about you? Is it like a open thing? Are you pushing it, or how do you find it?
It is open. I think it's something I actually just today got those Wham stands, the
Mhm.
like the splice stands that they think they 3D print them. It's pretty cool. I just got like a spinner one because I had a couple of the comics at my office and I was like, screw it, I'm
Right.
gonna put these up here. And I got this little spinner here. I'm gonna bring in a couple other ones and just like put them on there, like some of the anthologies that I'm in. Just gotta put it in there. It is an open secret, but it's something that I'm proud of. So it's just like I have bragged about it on LinkedIn, and it's become this like interesting like icebreaker thing for anyone that I might not have spoken to in a little while,
Yeah.
whether it's like someone outside or even inside, and they're like, "Wait, how did that go? Like you made a thing." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I wrote a comic. Did you draw it? No, I didn't draw it, but I wrote it, and then I raised money about it, and we made it. And like, here is the thing that I made." Like it's amazing talking to other adults that have zero frame of reference for that,
Yes.
where it's like, but you wrote a thing and then you made it. Like, yes, like you could just do that. I'm like, yeah, like no one's stopping you. Like you could just buy it. You could just pay people to do this, and like we made it. And I'm looked at quizzically sometime, but like it's more of like a fascination. Like, so you work here, like, yes, and then you have this whole other thing that you did outside of here. I'm like, yes. Like, and again, like to your point, I'm not gonna quit my job. Like, I'm not making Robert Kirkman money for
Yeah,
this, you know?
not yet.
No, but like, you know, it's yeah, it's a hobby. It's a thing I enjoy doing. Like, what do you do when you get home? Like, I don't want to turn it back. People are like, what do you do? Well, like, I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad about themselves, but I'm like, yeah, that's the thing that I do. So no, I'm sorry, I haven't watched that movie that you just told me about, but like, I'll try to do that. But like, I wrote a comic book. Like, that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, yeah. It's always nice to get that perspective because you don't
Mm-hmm.
always get it when you're at conventions and or like I mentioned I was just at that writers conference and
Mm-hmm.
they had like all these round tables and you're sitting with these authors and you're like, well, I'm a six-figure author, so I need to understand how I can push directionals and they're like so many steps beyond where I'm at. So it's very
Mm-hmm.
easy to start small. Like, why am I even doing this? Right? Like, I'm not anywhere near that level. I had one campaign that kind of blew everything out of the water and everything else has been okay, right? But I've
Mm-hmm.
had like, I've had one big success thus far, and even then relative to what these folks were talking about, it's like night and day, right? Like, I'm
Yeah.
amateur relatively speaking, but then yeah, you talk to a civilian for like right, and they're totally like, what, like, but how, like, you made it, like this thing, like, you didn't, it wasn't like a vanity thing where you just sent them an idea and they
Yeah.
sent you, like, no, like, this was produced by me, like, this doesn't
Yeah.
happen without me reaching out to an artist and working together with them and you know going to the printer and figuring that whole business out and shipping it
Mm-hmm.
to all over, like to Indonesia and to
Yeah.
Australia, and like I got comics that were in my basement all over the world right now. And that's wild, right? And so
Yeah.
remembering that is like it's almost the opposite of being grounded when you're at this level. You always
Yeah.
that from celebrity. Oh, this is what keeps me grounded. It's like, no, we kind of need the like to be raised up every once in a while,
Yeah.
right? Because it's very easy to feel like you're looking at the Pat Shans and stuff on Kickstarter,
Oh yeah.
right? Who
It's
every
like
2 weeks,
he just launches a campaign and instantly gets like 50 grand. You're like, oh my
yeah,
goodness.
right,
But I mean, worked a lot to get to that point though. So like you can't
100%.
diminish that for it, but it's just like one of those things like, man, like you just hit launch and then like all that money just showed up for you. Like
Right?
so
And
cool.
you can count on it. Like,
Yeah.
that's the dream, that you hit the button and you can count on a not even like an amount that like for right now it's like break even would be great. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what you're hoping for each time. Where he's
Hmm.
like he can expect a profit with each book. Like
Yeah.
that's where you want to get to. And then there's people beyond that. So it's easy to look at all that and then be like, well, you know, I'm so far behind. But then you realize,
Yeah.
it's not like that at all. It's the what's the thing Tyler James always says about the, if you had 50 people in a room, you'd fill the room, you know?
Yeah.
So it's that thought. It's like, yeah, like even if it's only 50 people, like that's still a lot of people. Like 50 strangers have backed this
Yeah.
book, or you can start getting to the 100 people and all that, and it's like, holy, like, yeah, that's like a lot of people. Like if I was surrounded by 100 people, I would feel truly surrounded, you know?
Yeah. The
So
the
reminding yourself,
stranger name is what gets me on Kickstarter. Like when I see the backer report, and I was like, I don't know who that person is. This is great. Like this person who I've never met before
mhm,
has thrown money down for.
yeah, and it's absolutely wild when they're from like again. So I'm doing everything from Canada, but 90% of the people are from the US that are usually backing, um, and I love that. Thank you guys. But it's always crazy to me when I see the weird, like not weird, the unexpected places, right? Like yeah, like Indonesia popped in my head. Like how
Yeah.
how is how did anyone from there see my book and decide they want it shipped to them? Like that is wild.
Yeah.
That are
I
never in my wildest dreams would have thought I'd be sending books there, you know? Um, yeah, and I've had a lot of, like, I'm always impressed with each campaign. There's a new country that pops up.
Mhm.
Oh, Luxembourg. All
Yeah.
right.
I mean,
Right.
we like comics there too. That's what's fun.
right? It's been great. It's been great. Speaking of the writers
Yeah.
conference, one thing I was told that I don't know how I'm going to get into it or if or when, but they were very heavy on like do translate
Mm.
do translations, especially apparently for comics. You live in French.
Yeah.
They're starved for comics over there.
Wow.
Just like I did not know this.
Yeah.
I will keep an eye out. But yeah, apparently, and don't do Quebecois French because they look down upon that because
Ah.
that is not French apparently. Um, the folks of Montreal might disagree, but apparently in Paris they do not want to hear Quebecois. So
Okay.
make sure you're getting a French person
Need to
to
know.
translate, not Canadian French. Yeah. But apparently, yeah, that's a big thing is the translations, not just for books but for comics and all that. But yeah, apparently there's a big French market for comics that just
Hmm.
I'm yeah, I don't know. I've seen Italian comics. Like I've been to Italy. I went
Mhm.
with my brother and we were like, let's go find a comic shop. We were in Rome and we had to go like to the outskirts on a bus and it was bizarre because it was almost the same experience as here,
Yeah.
right? Like all the books are in Italian, obviously, but aside from that, like it felt the same. Like you walked in and there were the dude, like there was the comic shop owner talking with the who were clearly a couple regulars
Yeah.
debating something about the Hulk. Right. And they're just like, they all give you that kind of like side eye ever as you go look at the books.
But
And it
but
was
they're so much cooler because they're all Italian, right? So they're like, "Ah,
Sure.
ciao."
Yeah, they just
Okay.
have a
Yeah.
swagger that you
Yeah.
don't.
Oh.
But well, I think part of it too is like, I'm walking in with my ball cap and that's immediate red flag. It's like you're not from here. Because they would drop dead before they would wear a hat of any sort.
Mm.
Um, so that gave us away immediately. But yeah, it was very bizarre. It's like, but yeah, the culture is the same there. It's very interesting that you could go halfway across the world and still kind of feel at home. Right. So I had fun with that. But yeah, I
Mm.
think translations might be something that we don't really think about, but maybe that's an avenue for, us to find new markets that we may not have found before.
I had a backer that offered me to translate into French,
Oh yeah?
Mm.
but yeah, yeah, but um,
French Canadian though.
no,
Proper French.
he was French from Paris,
Okay.
but yeah, but I don't know because um,
Yeah,
it's kind of strange relation with that backer in particular.
fair enough. Fair.
Yeah,
Yeah, you don't want to open a whole can of worms, right? Uh,
yeah,
but yeah, like just the prospect of like that there's audiences out there because we were just talking about how hard it is to even find the audiences that exist now with all this digital transition and that. And like, what if there are markets out there that we're just ignoring, that we're not, you know, getting our work out to that would appreciate it. So, it's something I've been thinking about
Mhm.
a lot since the weekend, but we'll see. We'll see if that's even a doable thing. But yeah. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know how I got on that
Yeah.
topic, but that's how conversations are.
Well,
All right. So
speaking of writing, let's try to I guess
yeah,
got
back on
Roberto
quotes.
caught up to us here. So I think
Yeah.
we leave the bowl panel without any dialogue. What do you think?
Yeah. Agreed. I think that speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Um, and then, so this one is this the her saying,
I think do we clarify what it is then at that point about like, like what? This is
yeah, so people don't think it's brain flakes or something.
yeah.
It's like, well, like, or okay, here, maybe do we need to give it a little help in the bowl panel and say,
or she's offering him, and when she's offering, she is playing what it is, or
yeah, exactly. Like, does he
Mm.
say, like, what is that? And then she says, like, oh, it's like crickets or something, right? Or do
Or
we
maybe
not?
is that what I think it is? Kind of thing, and like to kind of lead into that about like, yeah, they're bugs, like, or yeah, I eat this every day, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, exactly. It'd be like, you can either be like, what is that? Or is that what I think it is?
Hmm.
And then she'll be like, crickets are very high in protein or something like that.
Hmm.
Like, not even answering the question directly. right? That it's like, why, like, who even asked that question?
Yeah.
Obviously, they're cricket.
Yeah. Or here, like, or maybe like, yeah, you can't. It like you can't beat the protein. There's no other way to get this level of protein is cereal or something like something that's just like a matter of fact statement about like yeah like the perfect protein load for the day.
Yeah, yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe you add a button to that, or it's like you just have to avoid the legs or something like.
The antennas.
Yeah, the antenna. Yeah,
And kind of oh
yeah, that adds a level of gross. I was thinking the bug legs because my cat, who you guys saw earlier, was he likes to hunt the what do you call them, the centipedes, but he doesn't like the leg, so he leaves those everywhere. And oh,
we had these when I moved here. They're called camelback crickets. They're like this
that's how
big,
gross.
and they're harmless, but
Sure.
they were all in like a shed we have in the backyard, and it was just one of those things like I would dread going in there because I'd open it and all of a sudden they would just be like the sunlight would hit them and then they would just start jumping all over the place. I'm like, I just gotta get
No,
the
they can jump.
lawnmower out, please don't touch me. This is so gross.
Oh, I hate that.
But they're huge, so just absolutely terrifying to look at, and again completely harmless, but just like
Yeah, they're just gross.
oh,
Yeah.
super gross.
Uh, yeah, yeah. So we get the centipedes here, and so they crawl up the drains.
Mm.
So like now's kind of the season where it's getting like damp out with April showers and that. So they're all coming out, and the cat's like ready at the sink waiting, and then we'll wake up in the morning and just find legs everywhere. Massacre that happened the night before. Yeah, it's gross, but
Oh
I mean, I guess we don't live in Florida.
yeah.
We've heard stories about Florida and their wildlife. I'll take the centipedes.
I think I just had a thought with this and that maybe we have her say like why what do you eat for breakfast of a thing where it's
Yeah.
like implying that this is normal for her further or and maybe instead of maybe instead of the crickets or protein or I like the button of just be careful with the antenna but
Yeah.
they kind of go in the opposite directions though so that's the only concern about like we either have her acknowledge it or just brush it off about like this is like yeah this is what I always eat kind of thing. What
I
do you
feel
think?
like we need to. I feel like we might need to. Do we need to lean into it? Like have her explain it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um.
Maybe he did directly ask, "Is that crickets?" And then she
Yeah, and then she moves on
brushes
with
off.
the why. What do you? Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Maybe that's what we do. So the one with the bowl. Um.
Yeah,
Maybe
maybe
the one with the bowl say that. Like, were those crickets?
crickets question mark.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that works.
All right.
And then she can. Yeah, and then she'll just say the why. What do you eat for breakfast?
Yeah.
Um. And then maybe we use that. Just be careful with the antenna in the next panel.
Yeah.
Like he'll be like, fine, I'll try it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. There we go. So he could say yeah fine. You know what? I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. Yeah, because he has that expression in his in that panel too.
Mm-hmm.
So I did notice you spelled favorite the American way.
Sorry, man. That's where I'm at. You want to? I don't know if we have space to add that extra letter.
To add all these U's in here, no, it's fine. It's something I always wrestle with, right? It's like, cause like I said, like 90% of the comics I'm sending out are going to the US. So, like, do I just, dance with the one that brought me kind of thing? And,
Yeah.
But I find then what I've tried it before, and then what happens is just naturally I'm writing it the Canadian English, and then I miss some when I try to like go to the American style. But I people to me, right?
Does your computer or anything like capture that and say like or highlight it as like a misspelling?
It does in the scripts. So I write my scripts in like Scrivener. I have it set to Canadian English. So it'll say like, oh, like you're missing the U, right? The problem is when I go to like I use Affinity Designer for lettering, that has no spell check, so it has no idea, right? And that's where I end up making the mistakes like that. So I'm very careful now to just like if I'm gonna because my problem is like I can switch them to American just fine, but I'll miss a Canadian one here or there because I just again I don't see it, like I don't acknowledge it. Um, so just to be safe, I just write it in the English I'm familiar with, which is with all the extra U's.
Yeah. That the lack of spell check is interesting because sometimes I'll read a comic and realize like why is there a spelling mistake in here? Like why didn't someone catch this? So if there's not a spell checker in the program used to letter the book, that would explain of like no one in the last stages, no one that didn't set off any red flag.
Yep, you got to be very very careful when you make changes, right?
Yeah,
it's the when that's the important.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing it at this stage, like it's too late. It's there's nothing to save you other than your own capability to catch it. Oh, there we go. That's done well.
Yeah, I think we could the closer that we saw the just be careful with the antenna and then the milk disgust.
Yeah, I like it. Do we put the got any milk in the current panel and then it's just her being like milk, ew,
I
in the
think
last
that's
one?
it, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. This turned out really good.
Yeah.
The good thing we started lettering now too, because I feel like we would have run out of time. We wrestled with this bit.
Mm-hmm. It's a nice balance because I feel like it's like Roberto caught up and they're like, oh, we gotta move.
Yeah, exactly, right. Well, the conversation kind of ebbed and flowed as we were letting Roberto do his thing, so it worked out.
But we do want to keep that antenna comment in it too,
Yeah, I erased it by mistake.
Undo.
Yeah, I tried, but then
you lost it.
Yeah.
All right, it's in there. Do you want to put it in again?
I get it.
Oh goodness. So for writing, do you use any tools? Are you using Scrivener or
Google Docs?
Microsoft?
Is
Google Docs?
What I've done. I found one like shortcut I found was that sometimes I move stuff around. I'm like, oh no, this scene should come in earlier or later. And what I started, at least in like the initial script, was instead of writing page 1, page 2, etc., in the script to say page and then the page number. So I try to stick to. I mean, it only works if I could fit everything each page onto one page. The moment it goes over to the second page, it's lost. So like in that first phrase, until I finalize the flow of it, I keep it in there so that way I can move things around and not have to also worry about, oh well, now this page 4 is really page 6. And having to move that around because I found that just got like repetitive and annoying and it slowed me down. So I thought I'll just do this for the first pass and that helped.
That's fair. Yeah, I started with Google Docs myself. I found for formatting, what I actually did was I toyed with the heading shortcuts. So if you hit Control and Alt and then one of the numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's your heading settings, but you can change those to be like a tab in or something like that, right? So then if you're going from, let's say you're doing your dialogue, you can hit the tab 5 or hit the Control Alt 5, and then it'll center it and make it caps or whatever, right? So then you find like as you're writing, you're just hitting those shortcuts.
Yeah.
So you can go back and forth between dialogue and then go back to seeing the script going, right? I found that helped. And then I found the template for Scrivener, and then I never went back because it's wonderful. But and then it does all of it for you. So that the part you were mentioning about the page numbering, it doesn't number the pages until you've compiled it. So it'll do the heading, page 1, blah blah blah. Okay. And then if you decide to move them around, like it'll know when you only adds the numbers once it's done, right? So it's good for that. But if you're not writing otherwise, I don't know if it's worth the investment. Mind you, it's a lifetime license. It's not terribly expensive. But I find it saves me a ton of time. Since I got that comic book script template. I found it you just think a lot less about it, right? You
Yeah.
just kind of do, and like you said, like you don't have to worry about like, does this fit on a page, like a page? Like you just write what you got to write, and that becomes its own little file, and you can move it. You can move the scene wherever you need to.
That's cool.
So I found it sped me up quite a bit.
Yeah,
But
I
Scrivener
feel
does
like in
all
general,
kinds
there's
of
all these like
things. Not that
little
I'm here to sell
shortcuts
their
and extra
product, but
stuff in a lot of the programs that we use in general that we're just not aware of and don't take advantage of. Every time I hear something like, "Oh, well, you press these 3 keys and it does that thing," I'm like, I don't know how I would even I didn't know what that was to describe it, and now I know a thing like when you started talking about the header thing, I'm like, okay, I think I understand that.
yeah.
I've used that here and there for like when I first broke up the script for Slobberknocker, I wrote the entire thing as one big story, and then I broke it up, and then I had to put in headers. So I said, all right, well, this is issue 1, this is issue 2, issue 3, but I didn't know there was a shortcut to do that or program some of the headers for it. So I was like, all right, well, now I got to look at that. Something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a nice little shortcut because they don't give you much in Google Docs specifically to do quick. Like you can do macros and
Mhm.
stuff in Microsoft Word if you want to get really complex and have like hotkeys that'll do
Yeah.
things for you. In Google Docs, you got to kind of mess with it to make that happen.
Yeah.
And that's how you do it. You use the headers. Like if you're never going to use header 5 and you're confident that you're probably not going to use header 5, then you just write like you put the whatever you're trying. Let's say it's dialogue. Um, you format that how you want, and then you save that style as header 5.
Yeah.
And now every time you go to write dialogue, you just do it
Mhm.
quick, like shortcut to header 5, right? And now you're like, now I'm writing dialogue, and then you
That's fine.
go back to normal, which is like
Yeah.
Control Alt 0, and then you continue typing, and it just speeds you up, right? Because you're not thinking about like, oh, I got it. Okay, tab, tab, tab.
Yeah. So tab is tough. I think. Well, it's
Yeah.
funny, like because there's not a standard comic script, right? Like when you write a film
Yes.
script, there is a standard for that. So I
The
got to bring
Sid
that.
Field way of doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just the script is whatever the comics is like. I don't know. I guess this works. I think what threw me off was I could format all of that, and then if something had a different screen resolution in Google Docs, it was off. So I
Yes.
looked at it on one computer versus another computer. And went, oh shit! Like everything I thought looked okay, looked bad on another resolution for it. So I had to figure that out, or maybe just save it as a PDF then instead before I send it to another person.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a challenge. Like everybody kind of has their own way of doing it. That's why I like the template. It's almost it looks a little like a screenplay just in the way the dialogue is centered and all that. And I find it's good for lettering because I can
Mhm.
just copy paste quick. But then there's like the Fred Van Lente template, right? Like
Yeah.
that style that's out there. Some people do it like a play, which I find very hard to read myself. But anyways, it's pretty much like the the script is not unlike a film script or a manuscript for a novel. The only person that's going to read this probably, unless you share it, is the artist,
Yeah.
right? And maybe the editor. But realistically, like, yeah, you have an audience of 2, but really it's a conversation between you and the artist. So whatever gets that across the easiest is the correct format, right?
Mhm.
I understand why a film script needs to be a certain way because you're going to have hundreds of people looking at it,
Yeah.
right? Like every department is going to be reading this, so it needs to be in a way that everyone can understand. But if it's between you and the artist, if you guys have a way that works, then cool, go with it, right?
Have you used a different format for different artists?
I haven't. I've been pretty lucky in that sense. Um, what I have found is that different artists are, um, they all have different the requirements for feedback, I would say.
Mhm.
So some artists, I throw them the script and they're like, cool. And they just like run with it. And
Yeah.
I don't hear from them. I just get pages, right? Like Raphael's like that. That he did Naked Kaiju Woman and Stay Cool. And he just throws pages at me, like finished pages. I don't even get layouts anymore. Like he's just like, yeah, got it. And like throws me the pages. And I'm like, yeah, it looks great. Like I very rarely have anything to say.
Mm-hmm.
Where other artists I've worked with like want a little more back and forth. They're like, here's my layouts. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you meant by this? Do you think we should try this instead? So it really depends. But as far as my like formatting goes, that hasn't come up quite yet.
Yeah.
But I have found that the feedback is very different. Some people just run with it. Some are a little more like they need to know. Like, what do you? Can we change this? Can we update that?
They feel lonely.
Maybe. Is that what it is? Is that from the artist in the group?
We need to talk with someone.
It's like I'm in my dark room all night and nobody's any feedback.
Well, yeah, that's
What about you, Rupert? Well,
Yeah.
are you finding that you get a lot of like? Are you the type that just runs with it, or do you like have a lot of questions?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, it depends. Uh, if I have a lot of questions, it's because I'm not like getting the script.
It's not clear.
but
Yeah.
but if not, it's not. Maybe it's not questions. Maybe comments or. But let's talk about the world of the script. But if not, if the script is clear, I just run with it.
Right on. What about you, James? Do you find that you're like having a lot of back and forth and kind of editing on the go, or have you found that it's pretty much like here's the script,
it.
good luck?
It has been a lot of the latter there, where it's like here's the script, and then like I'm happy to answer questions, but a lot of times it's like, all right, well, I'm gonna go and do this thing, and I'm like, do you want me to look at anything else? And they're like, no, we're good. And then it comes back, and like I rarely have had any instances where I've had to like change a lot. I think I had with Darren's first pass on a character design. I had this guy with like a big mustache, and I was like, I really don't like this mustache. Like, could we just change the mustache? Like, oh yeah, like it was well in like the character design stage, but I was like, this mustache just makes this dude look a little like not really the vibe I'm looking for. He's like, all right,
Yeah.
mustache was bitch, that was it. But haven't had any real issues. Like I think that stuff is usually figured out more in that design phase. Like for
Yes.
Slobberknocker, it's fun because Dan gets to design all these really cool wrestling gear, right? And he would send me like 4 or 6 or 8 from a character, and I was like, all right, I like that one and this one, or like, can we take this part of this one and put it onto that one? And like, he just got to design all this cool, gear and different looks and vibes for it, and then that was all well ahead of time. So like once that's established, it's like, all right, now they're gonna fight, like they're gonna do these things, and like he has a good dynamic of how to set it all up, and I trust him because he's the artist. Like I'm like, yes, I think this is how the thing should go, but I'm not like the Marvel method where it's like, all right, and then there's 2 pages of a fight, like it.
And then they fight.
I've been
Yeah.
get to this page, get to this segment.
It's all interesting. You went to WrestleMania.
I did, yeah.
Awful thing. But yeah, you went to WrestleMania. How was that, man?
Yeah. So it was fun. An opportunity came through my day job as I work in advertising, and one of the vendors that we work with was like, "Hey, we're gonna do this thing at WrestleMania. Do you want to come?" I'm like this year, like now, like yeah, we're gonna go. I'm like, yeah, like we'll fly you out there. I'm like, sure. Well, I'm like, why not? So I went out there. They said me and a guest, so I brought my brother Corey with me, and we went out there, and it's just. I've been to WrestleMania before, but like that experience of being in a crowd with like 60,000 other people as like, you're watching championships change hands and stuff is just such a wild experience. And like what's the wrestling as a whole has like a weird connotation to it. Like people think it's like carny nonsense, which it is, but like it's also like live theater and all this other stuff. But it's also this really like weirdly welcoming community where like you could be sitting next to a complete stranger who's from a completely other different part of the world, and you will just become friends with them for that night. And like, yeah, like, oh yeah, you saw that too. That was crazy. You're like, yo, you really thought that guy was good? Like, you'll suddenly just start striking up conversations with these complete strangers there. And it's just fun because you're all there for the same reason. You're all there to have a good time. Like no one's like, oh no, I'm here because I hate it. Like especially WrestleMania, like that stuff was expensive. Like no one's out there like I'm gonna pay a few $100s to go and sit and be miserable for a few hours. Like no, everyone's out there to have fun because they love it, and to be part of that vibe is just really really fun.
Yeah, that's amazing. I will say that the other side of that coin, the UFC, I don't understand those people because there's constantly fights in the crowd, people getting kicked out, and it's like you spent how much? And we're not even like in the third card in. So you're not going to be here for the main event that you paid hundreds of dollars to see because you had to fight the drunk guy next to you.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
No, I haven't had any of those bad experiences. I went to an AEW. I went to Full Gear last year,
Right on.
and I was there with my kids and my brother. We went out, and these people sat next to us, and they was like one match in, and they're just dropping F-bombs like crazy, like so much so that my 9-year-old was like, "That guy's cursing a lot." I'm like, I'm gonna have to say something now, right?
Look
Like
what you,
my kid's even noticing this. So like, so finally I turn around, I was like, "Hey man, like we're all having a good time, but like I got my kids here. Can you like cut down the F-bombs a little bit?" And I was like ready for like a fight or an argument. And the guy's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like I didn't notice, didn't think about it. I'm so sorry. Absolutely." The guy was my best friend for the rest of the night. Like he was like calling stuff out. I was like, "Oh man, you just see that thing? Yeah, that was so cool. Hey, you guys need anything?" Like so nice.
yeah,
Like, it could have gone the other way, where it's like, don't tell me what to do. Like, no, I went to New Jersey of all places. Like
oh
those
yeah,
people are not known for their kindness. No offense to New Jersey, but like they're like, oh, all right. But like, so the nicest dude in the world. So it's just yeah, and we're watching some crazy stuff. It's like John Moxley and Orange Cassidy beat the heck out of each other. It was a bloody ass match, that one. But like it was crazy,
yeah. They're fun crowds, and like, yeah, it's like outsiders are always like, you know it's fake, right? It's
Yeah,
like, yeah,
we do.
well, so is everything, you know. Like the Avengers also aren't real. Like I'm
Yeah,
aware that this is all fake. It's a play. It's a play like with bodybuilders. That's effectively
yeah.
what it is, right?
Yeah, but like, I mean, yeah, you could watch, some great drama or something like that, but like, is they're not doing backflips in Game of Thrones. All right, like, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
like, yeah, that's like really, really high production value, but like, they're not doing moonsaults off of a steel cage, are they? No,
yeah,
they're not.
right.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
they do a 450
acrobatics.
splash. I don't think so. Jon Snow ain't doing that stuff. All right.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You get your acrobatics, you get
Yeah,
your bodybuilding and uh your soapy drama. Like
yeah.
that's all it is. It's just fun. I don't know why there's this need to like legitimize everything to be like,
Right.
you know, like it's not real. It's not like sure it isn't. If I
Yeah,
wanted that, I'd go to the UFC, right? And then I watch them like hold each other down for 5 minutes at a time.
yeah,
Which don't get me wrong, I enjoy that too. But sometimes that's legitimately what it is. It's like
yeah,
he's just laying on him and not letting him up, and that's like it's good strategy. But that's not entertaining as
yeah.
somebody jumping off a ladder. You know,
Exactly.
it's
I
a
mean, that
totally different thing.
what I think, and part of the reason why I think there's a big overlap between wrestling and comics is that both of them are like the picked on person. Like if all of sports were people, wrestling would be the one with the lowest self esteem, and it would be the one that is picked on regularly. And
Yeah,
comics is the same way. Like if you compare comics to like radio, to audio and TV and film and novels and all those stuff, it's the one that feels like it has the most to prove
mm,
in that regard, and it's like it's taken the least seriously,
yeah,
and that's why like I think people defend it so much, and because of that, like we see that beauty that you get in a comic book or in a wrestling ring with these things, and it's like we understand it, and it's like when people don't, or they're that outsider perspective, like, oh, comics, like I've literally spoke to them, they still make those.
yeah,
Yeah, they still make that. Like, did you see the Avengers? Like, that was one of the most successful movies of all time. Like, where do you think they got the ideas from? Like, yes, it wasn't from 80 years ago. Those are
yeah.
based on stories that were made like 10 years ago, tops.
Right. Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. And yeah, I think you're right. It's like it's very similar in the sense of that fandom, right? Where
Mhm.
it's like, yeah, like why are we so put down relative to other genres
Yeah.
of things, right? But I'm a sports fan myself, and I always find it funny that people that are like diehard, like here in Toronto, everybody's a Leaf fan. Not me, I'm a Red Wings fan. But everyone here's a Leaf fan. And
Mhm.
they have their man cave that the walls are painted the like royal blue, and they have
Mhm.
their Leaf jersey, and you know what I mean? They have all the
And,
gear and
and
all
I'm sure
the
they say, "Oh, we did really
memorabilia.
well that last weekend." Like, were you on the
Yeah,
team?
right. And it's like
Did you
we
contribute?
like they were part of the whole,
That
right?
that is a
They
vibe
so they
I don't
get it.
understand. I don't get that at all. I'm not a sports guy. Like I only watch wrestling. That's my only like thing. So when they're like, "Oh yeah, we got a
Sure.
really good linebacker this one," like, do do we do we have that? Like, can you explain how we are part of this? Like, I just don't
right?
understand.
But it's, to me, it's like I find there's like a similarity between the two that for some reason we just can't bridge that gap. Where it's
Mhm.
like you have such a fandom for all this stuff, all these sports things, and that is okay. That is normal for
Yeah.
you to walk around like you're one of the players on the ice wearing their jersey, like wearing the name of a 20-year-old on your back
Yeah.
as a 40-year-old man is socially acceptable,
Yeah.
right? But like that, and again, I'm wearing my TFC cap and my Red Wings shirt. Like I am one of these people, just to clarify. But I can see how the two are the same. It's like you are a nerd in a different way. You are a
Yeah.
nerd for sports. These and like we're a nerd for stories or for wrestling, but it is
Yeah.
the same fandom directed in a different direction,
Mhm.
right? So I just don't understand the like jockiness of it, where it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm a Leaf fan and blah blah blah, and like comics are dumb and whatever,
Yeah. They're
right? And
big.
it's like, well,
Yeah.
it's all the same, man. Like it's
Yeah.
just I like this, you like that thing. Everybody can like their own thing. It's cool, you know.
Yeah. Have you
Things
tried to convert people to like comic fans? Like or like tried to get them to read something of like showing them, because it's the whole argument, this is a medium, it's not a genre. Right? So
yes,
it's not just superheroes that are in there. Yes, it's a big part of it, but like you could tell any kind of story, and it's just like you could tell any kind of story in a movie or a novel.
yeah, yeah. I'm always having that argument. That that convention I went to this weekend, the conference rather, like it's like, what do you write? I write comics. Oh, superheroes. It's like, well,
Mm,
no, like there's more than that. And frankly, I avoid that because if somebody wants to read superheroes, there's plenty. There's plenty,
yeah,
and it's at a third
that's
of the
right.
price that I can offer my comic at.
Mhm.
Right? So like if you're looking for that, it's there. Batman is widely available.
Yeah.
There's a Batman available every weekend, or every Wednesday rather. Um, so whenever I'm trying to sell myself and my work, it's always that. It's like, no, I'm using this as a medium to tell these stories. And
Yeah.
it's the same, so yeah, the same when I'm trying to get people into comics, I rarely throw them, I like it if they are showing interest, it's like, oh, like I'd love to read some Superman. Like, yeah, you're Superman for all seasons, like in my back
Yeah.
pocket, right? Like I have those for sure. But it's no, it's like you read Black Science. Like you like sci-fi, like weird off the wall sci-fi, like
Yeah.
you'll enjoy Black Science. You should check that out, right? Like
Mhm.
and throw them some indie books, and I think that if people were more willing to open up a bit and like broaden their horizons, I feel like yeah, there's so much out there, but it's just yeah, it's pigeonholed into like funny books, you know?
Yeah. That's it. I mean, I had tried one year for my team at work. I for like a Christmas gift, I bought them each a trade paperback as like a like this is a and then I didn't do it after that because I don't know, my wife and I talked about it, and she's like, I don't know, you're kind of just like trying to force them to read comics. I'm like, I am a little bit, but also it's like I thought about the books that I gave to each person and like what I knew about them, what their personalities and stuff, and it was like a wide range of stuff. It was everything, like Lumberjanes was in it. There was Deadly Class. There was
Nice.
one, and there was another wrestling fan. Aubrey Sitterson wrote a book called like the history of professional wrestling. I was like,
Yep.
this one's an easy one, right? So there's a couple of those where it's like, all right, like lined up, but I had to be purposeful in what I picked out for them, and there was I think 10 of them altogether, but like they were all indie books. I didn't get any Marvel or DC things. It was like a lot of stuff from Boom and Image, um, and IDW that I looked at of like, these are books I think you would like. And then like my only downside, like I think right after that was like COVID and there was like a lot of lockdown stuff. So I don't know how it was all received about like, did you read that book? Like if
Yeah.
you like, did you like it? Some of them said they did read it, like, at least because I had like asked later on. But then I also realized like I don't know if they've ever read a comic, and they try to explain to them like you just read it left to right, just like you do for a regular novel, or
Yeah.
like follow the picture.
Yeah, speech bubbles always seem to be the thing that confuses people for some reason.
Mhm.
It's like it's too good. It's like no, it's just like read in like a Z, you know.
Yeah, I got you.
We just kind of follow that format. More often than not, that will
Yeah,
get you where you want. And if you're ever lost and you find things don't make sense, you probably read it in the wrong direction.
yeah,
We all do it to this day. Like I've been reading for 25 years and I'm still reading it in the wrong direction sometimes,
Mhm.
you know? But yeah, like it's, I feel like people feel this pressure. It's the same with like, people want to get into comics, and it's happening with like the MCU and stuff where it's like,
Mhm.
I don't have to read everything. It's like, don't,
Yeah.
you just pick one up.
Yeah.
You don't have to start reading. But like you said, you don't even have to read the hero stuff. But even if you did, if you wanted to get into Marvel, go pick up Spider-Man this week, start
Yeah.
reading, all right?
Check it out. You know,
Figure
and
it
that's
out.
where like I think there's that big focus on the jumping on points, right? Like, oh well,
Yeah.
do they have to go back? Like, no, you don't have to go back to Amazing Spider-Man #1 in 1963 and read all of those things. You could just jump in, and I think that's what is missing now in
Hmm.
a lot of like you could piece it together. Like, yes, you could go back, and there's things like Marvel Unlimited that you could go back and read all those things, but you don't need to read hundreds of issues of
Yeah.
Spider-Man to understand who Peter Parker is, because who he is still the same person now. Because all those elements are still there. Yeah, there's references. Like I was reading some last week, and that whole 8 deaths of Spider-Man storyline that's going on, and they showed all these deaths that have affected him, like Gwen Stacy and George Stacy and Harry Osborn and all these things. Like, all right, you don't need to necessarily know who all those people are, but understand that the dude's gone through some stuff. All right, like
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
had heartbreak, and like clearly there's history here of all the things that this man has endured to get to this point, and then to have to relive all of that is a lot. So that's where that stuff can resonate more, and you can still enjoy the comic just jumping into it. Because half the time I forget what happened the previous month, so I got to remember of like, all right, where are we? What is going on? Like, all right, you could piece it together. It's not that comics readers are pretty smart.
Well, this is the thing, right? Like, and it's the idea of like, if you don't have all the context up front, that's okay. Like, you can pick it up something from the middle,
Mm-hmm.
and they usually give you enough that you can at least appreciate the story they're telling now
Yeah.
without knowing all the details of who knows what or the callbacks or all that business. And
Mm-hmm.
then when you do have all that context, you'll just appreciate that much more like down the road, right?
Yeah.
When then you become that reader, but you have to start somewhere. You have to just
Yeah.
jump in and realize that, yeah, you're not going to know every character that they're talking about and what their power set is, and all that business. Like, and these constant reboots too, I find aren't helping, because it's not like they're actually, it's not reboots, the renumberings, I should say.
Yeah.
The renumberings are confusing because it makes it seem as though, okay, this is a jumping on point, but the story is just a continuation, like it's a new arc effectively.
Yeah.
It's like,
Especially if it's the same writer. Like I think they're
yeah,
renumbering Fantastic Four, but like Ryan North is still writing it. So
that
like,
one,
why do that?
yeah, Marvel is probably the biggest like abuser of that, of the number
Yeah.
ones. They did it with Daredevil as well, with Zdarsky. They just decided to
Mhm.
go to number one randomly. It's like, well, the story is the same. It's a continuation of the same story.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even a sequel or anything. Like, it's literally this, like, it's the next issue. Why is it a number one? So yeah, it's a bit egregious in that sense. But
Yeah.
yeah, and it's giving people a false jumping on point. So now you're saying, oh yeah, number one, cool. I get to start at the beginning, and you're finding out, no, you're starting from the middle still. We just decided
Yeah.
to change the volume for no reason, right? So that's kind of frustrating. But I mean, getting people in the comics in general is difficult. Um,
I mean, I have to tell you, like I have 2 kids, right? So they're 10 and 12, and they love comics, but they're not reading Daredevil. They're not reading the Wednesday Warrior books. They're reading Dogman and like all these other books that are popping out there, and like those books that are contained, right? You get a whole story
yeah,
in the whole piece, and like yeah, like Dogman has iterations. There's like 13 of them now, and they're all fun, by the way. Like I recommend them as an adult too, because I've read them all too, and they're all really fun. And actually, quick aside, the spin-off Cat Kid Comic Club is what I recommend to people who want to make comics, because
interesting.
there's like 3 or 4 of the books so far, and Dave Tilke breaks down the elements of making a comic in such a simple way, and it talks about stuff, even the psychology behind it, about like you have to fail, like, and it's okay to make a bad thing first, but you got to get something written, and like comics could be all these different things. And I found it so inspiring when I was reading it. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is how you do it. Like you just do it. So I've just been pointing to that, as silly as it sounds, but like it's been great.
That's amazing. Well, we need more of that, right? Like, we need
Yeah.
more kids getting interested in this medium, or it dies.
Yeah.
Us old farts are not going to keep this alive.
I know
So
that collector's market is only going to get you so far.
yeah,
So I think
right.
yeah, that generation that's coming up, there's a lot of like fun stuff that they're in, like Mayor Goodboy from Dave Sheed and Miranda Harmon. That book is just, it's about a dog who's mayor of a small town, and I'm like, yes, I love all of this. Like, so good.
I feel like that stuff was missing when I was younger, so that's
Hmm.
good. It's good.
Yeah,
Like, you need that gap filled. It's like I don't know about you, but it was like Archie. You like Archie? It's like no, I
yeah.
don't like
And then I
Archie.
get
Well, that's not
Bone,
like off.
right? Yeah. Yeah, like Archie and then Bone, I think was it. And then it's like, oh
Yeah,
no, just look right into no, I got stuck with Onslaught and the Clone Saga. And I was like, I have no idea what's going on here. Like
right.
that's
Yeah, there's like
no yeah,
there's no bridge. So I feel like now
yeah.
kids at least have a bridge, and then maybe they get to webtoon and all that
Hmm.
stuff, and then hopefully they transition into the
Yeah.
more adult fare. But
Well,
yeah,
DC's done a good job of releasing a lot of like younger skewing things that are, in their own
yeah,
continuity of sorts, but like there's a really good Zatanna book, like Zatanna of all people, but like it's just a really fun self-contained graphic novel that's made for kids, and I've read that a few times with my boys and they love it.
nice, like a YA level stuff.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of those. Yeah, yeah. I think they did a Jimmy Olsen one too
Yeah,
recently.
they just released a fact book, but they did a really good one called Dear Justice League, and it's like kids that are writing in letters to the Justice League, and then like how they each one of them answers different questions from it, and like they
Mhm.
show that like Justice League, although like Superman is perfect, but he gets distracted sometimes, and because he got distracted flying, he bumped into a building, and then the building knocked this, someone fell off the building, he had to save them, but then it caused this paint can to fall down. It was like this whole like elaborate event that happened because he wasn't paying attention. It was like, just
Yeah,
pay attention. It's like this is a little lesson in
easy
there.
solution to this, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's funny. But yeah, like yeah, I think filling the gap is key because yeah, like we can only keep this going for so long, and
Yeah.
there's only gonna be so many people who are willing to keep this going for so long.
Hmm.
So if we don't get that younger generation in, it's going to be again, comics will never go away. They'll change and mutate and grow and whatever.
Hmm.
But you know, um, you need you need to be somewhat healthy for people to want to keep.
Yeah.
It can't just be a hobby. So
Yeah.
I think getting the younger kids in it is key. But
Hmm.
hopefully, like you said, DC seems to understand that. Hopefully, more groups understand it too.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
With that said, we have a finished piece.
This
Done.
is beautiful.
Did it.
Awesome work,
Yeah, it
Roberto.
looks great.
Thank you. I was I was thinking, whose house was this? And
I think it has to
but
be
it
her
has
house.
to
'Cause
be
yeah.
yes, yeah, yeah. So that the robe was appropriate because
Mhm.
if it was his house, he might be wearing his clothes or something like
Yeah.
that.
That's a very good point. Look at that. See, context. That's the
Yeah.
art of adding there. That's their touch.
Great.
Yeah, very smart. Nice. All right. Okay, so with that, we'll call it. All right.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna do this in reverse order that we started. So, James, let them know who you are, what you're up to, and where they can find you.
Yeah. I'm James Ferguson. I'm the writer, co-creator of A Real Flabberknocker, and one of the writers and contributors to Slices of Life, a anthology set in a world where pizza has been outlawed. I can be found online as James Ferg Comics on Blue Sky and jamesfergcomics.com.
Amazing. All right, make sure you find that stuff. This real Slobberknocker is a lot of fun. I
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed that, and I really enjoyed the black bag of the what is that called? The real slice one. That was real good.
Yeah, Slices of Life. Yeah.
Slice of
And
life. There we go. I'm mixing the two. I
yeah.
just heard it. I'm mixing the two. Slice of life.
Yeah.
But the black
And
bag, like, you really got me.
if anyone signs up to to my Substack, you get a free PDF of A Real Slobberknocker #1 too. So that's check out the pro wrestling comic right out of the gate.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, and I'm always reading your Substack. It's a lot of fun. I'm sure you know because I comment and you comment on mine, which I appreciate
Yeah.
as well. So yeah, a lot of fun. Definitely check them out on Substack. All right, with that, Roberto, let them know who you are, what you're up to.
You can find me on robertoillustration.com, and by the time this is out, I think I'm gonna have the second issue of Nathaniel Fox and the Tomb of Humashin with the script of Rodolfo Santulo, interior art from Manuel Loza. So that's it for now.
Amazing. And as always, I'm Adriano. You can find me at Pesto Comics, pestocomics.com. Just go to pestocomics.com. It'll direct you right there. With that, I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank you, James, for joining us and having such a great conversation with us, and for rescheduling over and over. I really do appreciate that.
We're good.
Thank you very much.
With that, well, thank you all for watching. Have a good one. Talk to you next time.
Thanks.